many of our sons and daughters of today's Black family has no idea of the plight that we went through to get to where we are today, or the struggle that we have. Our history books do not record factual information over the plight of the Black man, the Black female, our Black race. And without Dr. Martin Luther King and us celebrating his birthday, and next month celebrating Black History Month, we would never ever be acknowledged or recognized for the power that we are present. And I just want to make sure this tribute lands on the heart and soul of every child, every man, and remind us where we came from.
You know, you're putting a lot on my shoulders right now, right?
you know something. God delivered you to me. He gave me big shoulders so I can carry young brothers like you. And when I'm done with you, when you're done with me, your responsibility is to get those same big shoulders and carry somebody else.
Well, you know what? I absolutely positively understand that and action a lot of different ways. Oh, this is going to be a problem. I'll make sure my pop-ups is not popping up.
Cut off your phone, everything else.
Yeah, I mean, but for anything else, it's always been my way to make sure, like, I know what it feels like. So I tell people, especially when I work with young men in particular, I let them know I know what it feels like to be in a situation where you feel like you have no light or no hope. And even when you do, you don't exactly know how to ask for it. So, I mean, I definitely understand putting the weight on your shoulders and walking forward, because that's what we all must do. You know, we stand on those who came before us. And I mean, like, to me, it's a little bit of a different thing for me to know that, like, when I look at my forebears, how much of the walk that they actually took and how those paths diverged into all these different things. And so it's really a choice where you decide to do certain things. So when you decide to take on, you know, using your shoulders to help someone, support someone, to move them into their destiny, I don't take it lightly. That's why I was like, oh, you put a lot on my shoulders. It's not that I'm scared. You know, I'm always terrified. I have anxiety, but yeah. I'm always willing to try. Because,
you know, believe it or not, I'm going to go ahead and run with this the way it's going right now. And I'm going to go ahead and start this, because the conversation we have right now is a conversation that needs to be heard. You know, I always say this, being a Black man is an adventure. We're always scared. You know, we're always the first. We're an endangered species, even amongst our own women. We're not held to the same level and appreciated as what's going on, because right now our women are progressive women. And I'm not saying all, but some have forgotten the fact that, you know, how fragile a man's heart and soul is, especially when it comes to their queens. And we have to recognize one does not exist without the other. And that we have to support each other. And we have to understand the roles of a Black man is to encourage and support our women and not oppress them, because our oppressors are much greater than we are. And we have to overcome the 400 years of oppression of how we've been taught mentally to see ourselves, how we see our place in the world. And we have to take back what's ours. If it had not been for the leaders that we had during the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr., an American Baptist minister, a social activist who became one of the most visible spokesperson or spokesmen and leaders in the civil rights movement. And because of his spoken word, I had a dream. And because of the many quotes he had going against the oppressors and trying to educate them, in 1968, he was gunned down. And why? Because of his words. And the reason why I have Mojavi Emi, the poet as we know it, the founder of Urban Guerilla Theatre, Free Speak, Open Mic, and the master of the spoken word, I've invited you to Talking with Kevin and Son, and to be part of RMK Production and our mission through the power of story, to the power of the voice. We want to inspire, share experiences and perspectives using the framework of learning, teaching, and modeling. And our mission is hope, helping other people every single day. And this is the reason why, young brother, my shoulders are broad, and it's the reason why you're here, in order to share and pay tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King and educate our young people and all people, regardless of the skin color or the location of where you sit right now. We want to pay tribute. But first, let's learn a little bit more about Mojavi Emi. Tell us about yourself, young brother.
I don't know if there's a lot to tell. I poet. I'm father of three amazing kids called the Fluffians, Fluffy 1, 2, and 3, as they've named themselves. My nickname is Papa Fluff. They speak the Fluffy language. That's something you have to take up with them. Only they understand what they're talking about. I'm just a dad. I was conduit where they came through. As far as the spoken word is concerned, poetry had been my way of communication. Being in a place where I could not speak. So I had to write because children were seen and often not heard. And so when I was 7, I started writing these poems, but really the basis of who I was and learning about poetry is because my mother wrote poetry to my father. My mother did one of the first mixed media art pieces that I've ever seen. My father still has it to this day in a chest that he keeps. It's one of his prized possessions. And I remember sitting on the floor with her in 121A Lark Drive in Albany, New York, and watching her cut and write the poetry. My mother's handwriting was so beautiful in such a way that it was completely an heirloom. She punched holes and tied things together with ribbon, and it let me know how important the poetry was at that point. My mother's favorite poet at the time was Nikki Giovanni, and she read Cotton Candy on a Rainy Day. And that was one of her favorite books. And I remember her reading the poems. And even though we didn't quite understand everything that happened on it, I got the idea and the understanding that it meant a lot for her to read this poem. It had weight, it had something to it. And so for me, poetry has weight, it has gravity. It attracts, it pulls, it holds. It allows you to set yourself free, allows you to spirit, allows you to be who you are in every moment when you speak it. It allows you to free other people by allowing them to open the chambers in their mind to accept or to create new ideas in order for them to understand parables, if you will. So for me, the job of who I am, as far as that is concerned, is to always write of my soul and inscribe on the ear of the drum. And to take it to new levels, new heights, and use it to open up every chamber of life that I can walk into, with it being my herald. So that's who I am.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And you've been doing this since you were 5 years old, I take it.
Well, I've been writing since I was 7. I understood then when I was 7. But the crazy thing is that to know that these heirlooms, like I consider it to be an heirloom, that my father still has it to this day. Like that's an heirloom for me. So knowing that poetry has that weight, the beauty of it is incredible.
Well, I will tell you, when I first met you last week, and I appreciate Scott for introducing the two of us. I was impressed with such a young person with such a big heart and such an old soul and wanting to give back and make a difference. And when I asked you to do a tribute to Martin Luther King, my thoughts went way beyond just the celebration of his birthday. I look at the fact that the next month we're going to be celebrating Black History Month. And for some reason, I still struggle with the fact that 365 days a year, I am still a Black man and we only are recognized of 1 month. I'm thinking, how many different ways do I ask you to show up each month and deliver a message and give our young people a little something to chew on, something to feel, something that will inspire them, something that will educate them, someone that will connect them to a history that's long forgotten, or a conversation about our history that no one wants to share because we have that out there? And how do we create a conversation through rhythm and rhyme, the same way music is going to allow our young children, no matter what color of their skin, no matter where they live or wherever they call home, to be able to dream, to where opportunity is plentiful for all, and where hope lays its head every single night and blossoms as the sun will rise over the horizon.
Mhm.
So with that said, I'm inspired. I'm going to forego my mic and yield the mic to you. So you take your time and you pay your tribute.
Okay. So let's go. Okay. So I believe that a man is most appropriately known through the actions that he took and how those actions reverberate through history. The mystery of some that we come to find ourselves in is figure out where this man stood and where he begins. Quotations are the most elation that we hear, that we share, the understanding of who was here. Darkness cannot drive out, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. A man gave his life to make sure that our freedom was pure, that freedom will be our blessing, that our freedom is tied to the efforts of Montgomery bus boycotts, crossing of bridges, and the beatings, and the arrestings. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. And many friends that he did ensure he endured the deep-seated racism of those that surrounded him, people who made efforts to end him. But he continued on and gave us his life as our blessing. I refuse to accept that the view of mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood could never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word. We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He is devoid of the power to forgive, is devoid of the power to love. There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies. There can be no deep disappointments where there is not deep love. I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. A man must evolve for all human conflicts, which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such method is love. Martin Luther King was love. The essence of it, the giving of one's life to ensure freedom. We can talk about all of the great speeches. We can talk about all the things. The man has been resting in dead for so many years, but still his life reverberates through history for who he is and why he was here. He who passively accepts evil as much as evolved, as much as he helps to perpetuate it, who accepts evil without processing is really cooperating with it. Hate is just as injurious to the hater as it is to the hated. Like an unchecked cancer, hate corrodes the personality and eats away the vital unity. Many of our inner conflicts are rooted in hate. This is why psychiatrists say, love or perish. Hate is too much a burden to bear. Think, believe, understand that this man was here. He absolutely did everything in his power. And who decided to stop him in the latest hour? As he perished, and we found out the real story is that he was suffocated in his bed. We realized that the truth has been misled, that someone didn't want us to have something that we so rightfully deserve, what we gave to this nation. How much did we serve? Man must evolve for all human conflicts, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. A foundation of such method is love. We must remember that love We must remember the history. We must remember the effort. We must remember the marches. We must remember almost everything that was placed forth in the efforts of a king, our king, Martin Luther. We celebrate you. Amen.
I'm speechless, which is hard to do on my end. To my listeners, this is not the first time, and this will not be the last time that our guests will be featured on RMK Productions. If you've enjoyed this, I ask you to share it. Don't just like it, share it, because the words are powerful. You can follow us on our YouTube page, RMK Productions and Network. If you're a person that would like to be showcased and featured with a spoken word, and Mr. Mojavi, I'd like for you to come back. There's an open door. Every single month, I'd like to hear something you have to say and share, because we want to unite people, educate people, and bring them together. I can be reached at info@rmkproductions.net. If you would like to have Mojavi featured at an event, your high school, your board meeting, how do we reach you, sir?
You can reach me directly through my email, which is Mojavi M as in Michael, O as in Oscar, J as in James, A as in Adam, B as in Victor, I as in Isaac at iCloud.com. Direct line. No, we got to run through. And you can reach me through, just reach me through there. You can actually reach me through there. It goes to every platform I have. So
what are your platforms, social media wise?
Social media wise, Instagram, Mojavi at IG, Javi Ruxpin at IG, the Honey Dripper, _Honey Dripper _ at IG, Epiphany Radio, Epiphany Radio Hidden Show at IG, and
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. Mojavi Emi at Facebook. Real easy. I'm not a hard person to find if you know where to look.
All right. If you guys are looking for him, Mojavi, Mojavi. Last name is Emi. You can find him at Instagram at the same name. You can find him at Facebook at the same name, or you can reach out to us at rmkproductions.net, and we can find him for you if you like. Like I said, the brother's dynamic. He's got a heart. He's a great father, great human being, and he serves a much higher purpose and through the power of words. Today, I'm introducing you to a poet that you should know it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As my grandfather always says, when you get to a position you can help someone, it's your duty to do so. Reach one, teach one, and we fade to black. Thank you, my young brother.